The Antigua Forum 2020 was an amazing experience. This is one of the most incredible gatherings with thought leaders from around the world and powerful projects that all come together to cultivate and create and accelerate new ideas.
We're here with Robin Kerner at Antigua Forum 2020. Robin, can you tell us a little bit about your background and what brought you here to Antigua Forum?
Well, I was trained academically as a physicist, but somehow have found myself in political psychology as of about 10 years ago. So that's what I do now, political psychology, political communication, particularly interested in kind of bridging ideological divides and getting people who don't really trust each other to actually respect each other and work together. How did I get to Antigua Forum? Lisa, one of the trustees of UFM, and I think one of the maybe development directors, has seen me on the odd panel and giving the odd speech around the place in the United States.
How would you describe the event to other people, and what are your impressions of it?
It's been a wonderful, wonderful experience, and as it were, the point of the forum, I'm taking away some important things. And you know, I've complimented so many of the staff here on just the unbelievable organization, the precision and the responsiveness with which everything is done is quite astonishing.
A lot of your work has focused on persuasion, and particularly what you call weapons of mass persuasion.
One of the most important things is actually humility. Right? The more open you are to being persuadable, the more persuasive you usually are.
Yeah, so it sounds like humility is really the core concept. Yes. And I believe you have a new project.
That's a good segue.
Specifically talking about humility. Can you tell us a little bit about your ideas and what's going on with that project?
There is a huge problem in political discourse. People feel that political discourse has become tribal to the point of kind of breakdown. Over the last 3 or 4 years, polls in the United States have been showing 70-something% support for the idea that the way we do politics is fundamentally broken. That means it's not just the other team that we have to win. There's something deeper that's the problem. So the other team that we have to beat, right? There's something deeper that's the problem. And what we're seeing in the US is organizations starting up, especially non-profits, that want to actually deal with this, that want people on opposite ends, let's say, of a political spectrum, to be able to sit down and have productive discussions, rather than just a zero-sum, I have to beat you, or actually my tribe has to beat your tribe, which are great. And they have names like Purple America, More in Common, Better Angels, you get the idea. And they're all trying to bite a piece of the elephant, right? Bite off a piece of the elephant. So it's good, great. But the thing that I think was missing is, if you like, the biggest part of the solution, which has to be as fundamental and general as the problem and the experience that Americans have of the problem. And that means we've got to go kind of meta to politics. We've got to actually find principles that a conservative and a liberal and a libertarian and an I don't give a damn, right, all actually agree with, but that aren't so generic that they don't do any work in political discourse. They have to do some work, right? So I'll give you an example. We should measure our compassion by the good that we do, not just the strength of our intentions, right? Now that's one, right? First, do no harm. So once you've got all of that, if you can put a label on it, if you can package it, if you can brand it so that there's a shorthand, you might be a Republican, I might be a Democrat, and you can say you buy into this thing, and I can say, I buy into this thing, then our mutual buy-in is our common ground. And it's common ground that matters, right? That's going to do the work in our discourse, in our discussion, in our disagreement. Disagree agreeably. There's another one, right? People go, obviously, but then they don't do it. So I've basically put together these principles and I put a label on it. And that label is called humilitarian, because what unites them all fundamentally, those ideas, is a kind of humility. Sometimes it moves like an intellectual humility, maybe almost a moral humility, anywhere, because we're in a rut.
For someone, especially a younger person, wanting to get into spreading the ideas of liberty and persuading other people, what will be your most important advice? And are there any particular issues or topics or ideas that you think are easier to sort of begin to persuade other people?
Be excited about the prospect of being wrong. Be excited about having your paradigm challenged and maybe changing it. Because that's how your life changes for the better, right? To discover that you're wrong and then correct something, but that takes a lot of open-mindedness. If you can be open-minded to yourself, then what you're also going to be is open-minded to the experiences of others. You're going to find that you actually are listening to others, even in an argument, to understand. And everybody tells you how to sell them, right? Everybody tells you what matters to them, right? Again, salesman's adage, shut up for long enough for the customer to tell you how to sell them, right? Do that in life, right? But make it a habit. It's got to be second nature. And that comes with practice. As we discussed, it's kind of difficult for a lot of people a lot of the time, but it just comes with practice. And once you start, it gets a lot easier because the payoff is so high, right? And you will enjoy, I think you will enjoy the forming of new relationships. And you'll be able to form relationships across divides that you might not have before. It's going to enrich your life a lot. And a genuine intellectual curiosity, which means don't go out always reading or talking to people who agree with you, right? Which is the easy thing. Go out expressly to falsify your beliefs, right? Look for where you're wrong, right? Be a scientist about life, about politics, right? Science advances by everybody in it knowing that they haven't got the answers. Now, actually, science has a ton of answers, right? But at the margin, they know fundamentally they haven't got it all right. And they're looking to find out why they're not right. In politics, people don't do that. When it comes to moral things, moral psychology, we're very resistant to that. But with a conscious act of the will, we can override that tendency. And if you start doing that at a young age, you can be a phenomenal thinker and a phenomenal persuader.
We are trying to remember what it means to be human, and that, I think, is something that the Antigua Forum and the Liberty Movement are also deeply engaged in.